Good evening and welcome to our third episode of the Hempy Hour. I will be one of your hosts, Gina Mama Epps.
And I'm Lois Carter.
And this is Itchy Epps and his crazy tooth, special guest star.
Yes.
So we are together, the Hemp Sisters, and we've had an amazing last couple of weeks with you guys. And we thanked you last week. We want to thank you again.
I mean,
the support.
At the bottom of our heart, you know, Gina and I spend most of our years just connecting with people, and it's really nice to be able to apply a targeted conversation and message around that, and really just watching it grow like you would a newborn. It's beautiful.
And it really feels so good, and you guys are amazing. Last week we said that we wanted to talk about something specific this week, and that has shifted gears. That has shifted gears a bit.
Toilet flushing sound.
Right. One day. Advanced editing. But you know, we talked about just being raw and real and being ourselves, and you guys have loved that. Mm-hmm. So what we're about to unleash on you is as raw and real as humanly possible. Lo and I have had a rough few days talking about this, going through this. So we want you guys to be a little prepared because it's going to be very emotional, and we don't want to stop filming. We don't want to edit this. We want it to just flow and be real and let you guys know, because we are positive there are umpteen of you going through something very similar today or yesterday or some point in your life.
Yeah, or know somebody. And last week we ended with, we wanted to really just have a conversation about how people are coping with so much change in their work and their personal lives. You know, this past year has really pushed all of us. And if you don't have good coping mechanisms, if you don't have support, you really can spiral misdirection. You can really spiral to being completely engulfed in negative thought. You split off into two individuals where you're trying to maintain function, but behind the scenes there's nothing supporting that. So it literally crash landed me and Gina talking about things before we were GNL Wellness, long before. Today we're going to be talking about events from over 20 years ago that have predominantly shaped who we are. They're also so taboo, and growing up the way that we did, it's been, even though we find solace in talking to each other and working through these are things that we just couldn't openly talk about with people outside of, and even some people inside of, your life growing up. So again, it pushes to kind of some limits. And what we're going to do today, last Friday, I was driving, and I have a drive that I take every other weekend to bring my daughter to her father. So it's like 1,000-mile trip. I do it twice a month. And
for everybody out there dealing with that load of bullshit, more power to you.
Thank you.
More power to you.
No, girl, feel it.
My God. Anyway.
So during this time though, I tap out, right? I listen to, I'm a professional singer in my car. I listen to world news. But over the last week, these events and things we were talking about really started putting me in a headspace that I rarely want to get into. And that is the headspace of addiction, and heroin addiction specifically. It is the headspace of, attempting to take your life, thank God unsuccessfully. But, so I'm thinking about all this, and there's so many things that have happened in my life and in Gina's life that just have such context and they really tell the story of a lot of people. How do I talk about that, right? So I did. I came home from that drive after having all of these thoughts of, where do you begin to talk about things that are the most horrible events of your life, that you've grown from. You're empowered by growing from them, but there's pain, There's people that you love that didn't make it. There's people that you are closer to than anybody on the planet that don't even know these things about you. So unfortunately, I dropped a bomb on Gina last week, you know, because again, when you love people, you don't want to hurt them, you know, and you look at time and how long has it been in Gina's particular situation, it's very hard to talk about these things because she lost her brother to a heroin overdose. So it's, you know, but she's smart and she's brave. And I did a video and we're gonna play it here and we're just gonna kind of let it go. Gina, this is last Friday, Gina learned about this particular event. And, you know, we might stop it here and there if we want to talk about anything that comes up. And so look, we're not on a schedule here. We have no idea where this is going to go, you know, and
thank you for taking the ride with us.
Yeah, you know, this is Gina and I, you know, we don't know how much closer we can get, you know, but I mean, it's really just us bringing these events so that we can hit people's ears, hearts, and hopefully they know their support and love. And all right, we're going to go ahead and try to do a screen share. Us entrepreneurs are also technicians, so. Right, good luck. I don't know what's going to happen. We can start watching, I don't know, Pornhub in a minute. I have no idea. Since you're going in the nostrils today, please. All right. Let's see, we're going here. We're getting closer. Okay, I'm going to do. So you have to bring us back up. Bam, there we are. Okay.
Oh, she's really taking advantage of this for you.
Oh, look at that tooth, baby. Get it.
Don't be intimidated by the snaggle tooth.
Eat something through. Brings it sense. I love it. All right, I think we can see that. That artwork, if you're interested, is made by me. Anywho, simple plug. All right. I don't exactly know how long I was there for. I woke up covered in morning dew, colder than I ever had been, sitting on a picnic table, hunched over, head between legs, under a gazebo, on a path that people would start walking probably anytime soon as the sun was rising. When I woke up, the pain in my body wasn't my first thought. When I woke up, the pain in my heart, that I had opened my eyes and I realized it didn't work. The night before, I had been at a train station waiting for the train to come. See, where I grew up in the suburbs, drugs didn't come to you. You went to the drugs. At this point, my addiction, there was no jobs, so money came by illegal means, stealing. Not money, things to sell, you know, because where the drugs were, that's where you could bring things like that. You could even bring a bottle of aspirin and someone would give you $3 for it, right? And then you'd leave that bodega and you'd go right to the corner and then you'd get your blow. I wanted to pause this really quick. In early 2002, heroin addiction had gotten so bad in the suburbs that they started partnering with places like Target, Walmart, I mean, grocery stores, wherever, you know, baby formula was being stolen like crazy, aspirin, whatever, Tide, whatever it might be, because what I was speaking of there is these little shops that you could backdoor resell stuff, right? So you would just walk into a little, like a bodega, and you would just bring them whatever it was that they were looking for, and they'd give you money for it. So Target and these other companies, one time when I was incarcerated, you know, they had actually worked with the state's attorney to get information. Where are you bringing these things? To start making these types of connections, because every kid in the suburbs, this is what they were doing. You know what I mean? So it became that expanded that they were really they were literally looking for like the supply line, right, to stop this from happening, because that's exactly what you would do. You would bring, you know, you would steal, you get cash, you go right to the corner, and then you get back home, right? Sometimes.
And then you'd get on the L and you'd ride your little ass back to the suburbs. The safety of the suburbs. That particular night, there wasn't much money. And the person that was my, I guess you'd say, partner in crime, well, we sent, out of the both of us, he went for us. But you know, funny thing with addiction, you know, no matter how close you feel you are with somebody, in my particular case, we didn't meet under the circumstances of drugs. We were friends that came into drugs. You know, even in those times, knowing that you had somebody very close to you, you know, heroin wins, right? At this time, it was pretty late. It was the last train heading out. We picked him, so we would make sure, you know, there'd be enough money for the transportation, getting it and coming back. I didn't think, based on what we had money-wise, that he was going to come back and make me feel better. At this point, I was already starting to withdraw, right? We're talking not even 7 or 8 hours, you know, from the last hit, right? But I was already starting to get the panic, you know, the sweats had started. My body was getting nervous, right? And not functioning. At this point, you know, you're not making dopamine anymore. The opiates you're taking are, you know, stopping the production because you're taking it in, and anything more, you're substituting it. So that's the withdrawal part. Your body isn't producing the chemicals it needs. Dopamine is one of our happy, you know, chemicals, keeps our mood balanced, and in combination with serotonin, right? So I was already in the panic, and he was much worse off than I. He had a much stronger habit, and I knew if it came down to it, I'd be the one sick all night. So I waited. I waited by the train, on the bench. Everything's closed. Last train is come and gone. And he has not come back. And I am sick. Behind me is a little suburban, you know, convenience store. I go into the convenience store, and the clerk was stocking something, I'm not sure. But there was 5 NyQuil capsule packs, right? The, you know, like 12 pack, 10 pack. So I grabbed 3 of those. So I had around 30 or 40 pills, right? NyQuil capsules, the gel ones. And then I started my walk, my exodus, right? And as I'm walking, I'm eating one after the other, after the other, after the other. Walk for about a mile till I come to the path. It's kind of in the neighborhood of where my dad and my brother were living. I had been kicked out of that home, you know, the months prior. I had just gotten too bad. Bad influence from my brother. I walked By that time, there was not one pill left. And all I kept thinking, selfishly, was how much I hurt. And if it only had been, it's only been a few hours, what is it going to feel like tomorrow? And I didn't want to know the answer to that. See, by this time, you're going on a couple of years of this complete madness. You don't know who you are. You're not happy with yourself. You're watching everything you are. You're quite conscious of it. It's going away. But it just feels like you can't do anything about it. This, of course, is because of the chemicals of your mind, right? But nevertheless, it feels so real. It feels so strong. There is no out. I got to the path, and I walked underneath the gazebo. It was late. There was nobody around, right? And that's where I sat on top. I crossed my legs. By this time, I'm already feeling sleepy. And I put my head down without another thought. Which brings me back to when my eyes opened. Covered in the morning dew, colder than I've ever been. And nearly devastated that it didn't work. So, I stretch out, I look around, I have nowhere to go. But just about another mile away is where my dad and my brother live. I knew my father was at work, and I knew he wouldn't take me in at that point. But there was a chance my brother was home. So I walked, I vomited, I walked, I stopped. I was in such a haze, from the NyQuil and the dope sickness. Finally got there. I knocked on the door. My little brother answered the door. I never told him about how I got there. But my brother had the whole basement to himself there. And he let me in. And he hid me downstairs. And there I slept for 2 days with him making sure my dad didn't catch me there. After the 2 days, the person that I was hanging with all this time had been looking for me quite intensely, actually, and ended up finding me there. And then we talked.
Said he was 17.
It was a very tearful situation, having to tell somebody, that you feel you're so close with, and the things that have then happened, you create this terrible bond, right? It's the enabler. It's this complete circle. Again, like the drug, you can't escape it. You become part of this, and it consumes you. But in a moment of clarity, even though I was 2 days of dope sickness at this point, it's if I could rip my legs off because of the pain involved with that, I would have. But after that tearful moment, you know, and the promises I would never do that again. Truth is, I would have done it again. I did do it again. I'm going to be 44 this year. D8. This would be nearly 20 years ago. I have many stories to tell, and I'm going to share them all with you. Even if it's just an example, I understand that feeling. But I also understand that there's a way out. It includes you living.
Good dad there. All right. All right, so that was a lot, you know, I just, that was the first time actually Gina and I was doing that together. So thank you for your, whatever it is, right?
I mean, thank you. I can't imagine how difficult that was.
I think in retrospect, there's so many things I don't want to have happen. I don't want to, I'm just so cautious of glorifying certain things. And I don't know what the word is. It's being sensitive, you know, because look, it wasn't all like that, right? Obviously, because nobody would get that far into it if it was, you know, just unfortunately is a situation where it took me from, we were looking at it yesterday, like from like 1997, 98, all the way into 2002, right? To get my shit together, right? Unfortunately, that particular episode had one other that followed. Hey, you. It's okay. Your protector, yeah? No, you are. You know, they had, there was another event that landed me in the hospital, actually. And it was, I don't want to say superficial. I just, you know, it's like you go through your whole life and, you know, you don't ever think about doing something like that. So you really don't know how to do something like that. You know, you just, whatever it is, like whatever's at your fingertips. And I did end up in the hospital after a second attempt. My parents put me in, you know, but it wasn't there very long, right? The end of drug addiction for me, you know, after, you know, you find yourself like, we're gonna quit, yeah, with people you can't do that with, right? At this point, I had pretty much isolated myself from my family, you know, and not because of, oh, there were certain elements like don't come near it, but another side of that was not wanting your family to see you like that, you know, not bringing it to the front, right? Shame is a word I would use probably. In my situation, you would have been,
I'm sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay.
This is really hard for me, guys. I need people to understand that other side of addiction. So I can't imagine what a person that is addicted goes through. But the other side of that is when the addicted person disappears. It's no easier. It's actually 10 times worse. Because then it's all day, every day. Where are they? Are they okay? Are they alive? Am I going to hear their voice again? Am I going to get that hug? Am I, you know, and then, oh man.
No, and I'll tell you from the other side of that, you probably know that you ignore it, right? It's easier, right?
My little brother, that Lois has told you guys about, I lost Andy July 2004, which would have been the year Lois stopped using, literally. It was 10 days. It was 4th of July of 2004, which was 10 days before his 28th birthday. And my brother had struggled for 10 years with this drug, in and out of jail, all for nothing, all non-violent crimes, all like Lo's saying, you know, you need something, you steal something, you sell something, you get something. He never hurt anybody, he never had a weapon, but we never had money, so he never had lawyers. So he ends up in prison, like actual prison, with real people who belong in prison. So my, 18, 19-year-old little brother growing up in the suburbs is in prison now, where he's learning how to really be a criminal and how to survive on the streets and how to make sure your addiction is fed. You don't learn, you don't get help. No one's trying to get you off drugs.
No.
They're trying to teach you a better way to get what you need on the streets and to survive. So every time he got out, all we thought was like, okay, he's out. Like you have to see, you have to know how much better it is out. You know what I mean? And like Lo was saying, like, it's not a matter of what's right or wrong or what's good or bad or what's better for anybody. It's that drug, and it's just got power over them, and they're not them anymore. Like that wasn't my brother. It wasn't my best friend. It wasn't my dad's brothers and my mom's twin sister and my cousins and everyone I've been surrounded by my entire life. Like, it wasn't them. But these drugs, these actual drugs, this is why I fight for a fucking plant, a plant that can change our world and can give people a chance to thrive and to do better for themselves. And no one will talk about that. We don't want to talk about solutions. We
It's still sitting as a narcotic, right? Andy, I never was in any situation with Andy where drugs were involved. A pot, just a couple beers here and there, but we did not share. Yeah, we did not share that life together. Right? I don't know what it would look like if we did actually. You know what I mean? How that would have changed anything, I don't know. I know that in 2004, I was sitting in Cook County jail. So this was done after a time I had gotten picked up in Cook County. This douche that, the heroin partner in crime for all these years. They ended up getting like a high-speed police chase, right? And that event ended with like a car accident, him jumping on a train, like moving train, me getting my ass kicked by police officers in the car. And then I went into Cook County, not DuPage, like 26 in California, Chicago. And I sat there, and my parents, we didn't do the whole bail Lois out thing. Never did I ever get bailed out. My parents issued me the most, as a teenager, you're early 20s, you think it's like they don't love you. It's literally the largest form of love, letting me consequence for my actions. And regardless that, I wasn't sentenced to prison at this point. But as Gina mentioned it earlier, that not knowing if somebody's safe, that not knowing if they're going to wake up tomorrow, all of these things, I think through all of these years of addiction in that time, it was the only time that they probably fucking slept, right? Knowing that I wasn't on the streets, knowing I wasn't here, and knowing at some particular juncture in this environment, I wasn't hurting myself, right? That is not the prison system. That's being in jail while you're fighting court, and it's a completely different situation. I was put into pods where it was prostitution, non-violent situation where they moved you through in Cook County, right?
I can flip the other end of that as well, because like you said, your parents were like, listen, you made your bed, lie in it, you know, and my parents didn't do that. They helped him with everything in them because they felt like that was their baby and that's what they had to do. And it came down to literally remortgaging our house, where we almost lost our home because they couldn't let him sit in jail. They couldn't let the suburban kids sit in prison. Like, and I didn't get it at the time. Like, I didn't get it. I was only 3 years older. You know, he's in his 20s and I'm in my 20s. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, I'm a teacher. I'm responsible. I'm doing this, this, and this. Like, it's not fucking hard. Like, why are we allowing him to make these terrible decisions and then bailing him out, and terrible decisions and bailing him out? And my brother didn't steal from businesses and places. He stole from us. Like, we were the targets because we made it so fucking easy for him. You know what I mean? And maybe because he had it so easy, and he was able to get out of most of what he got himself in until he was literally sentenced to prison repeatedly. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if my parents would have been a little stronger, he'd still be here. You know what I mean? I could never say that. I lost my dad while my brother was in jail. Like, my brother was in prison when my dad died. Like, he couldn't get him. He couldn't see him. He wasn't at the funeral. Like, guys, I'm telling you, man, like, if you know someone who needs help, you need to help them. I don't care what you're feeling right now. I don't care how much personally you're like, fuck that person. They made their bed. They're going to lie in it. Like, they need help. They might not know it, but they need help. And I don't have the answers, and I don't know what that help is, but you got to try and be there for them in some way or another. Like, they have to feel loved.
You have to care. You know, we're talking about parents and children. You know, there's other elements when you have friends and things like that. But from this particular view, one, you have to know your kid, right? You have to know your kid, the person, the individual. You know, Annie and I did not grow up. We grew up, you know, there was nobody doing drugs in front of Andy or I growing up, right? In our younger years, right? I mean, we had family members. I didn't have family members. Like, I had the guys that hit the beer. You know, I had uncles that.
I had my mom's twin sister passing out from heroin at our Thanksgiving dinner in the mashed potatoes. Like, literally my entire life. My entire life.
We had different exposure to these things, which I think is partially why.
I think it's why I shut down so much to even cannabis being an option. Like, drugs. Like, I mean, there was, like, you couldn't tell me shit because it was all going to kill you and take your life. Like, and then once your eyes are opened, and they will kill you and take your life, you know, those kind of things potentially. But, you know, there are natural remedies that we are just bamboozled over that could potentially be answers, solutions to some of these problems.
Listen, you got to open up your mind. You know, there's so many things that go around us in the world. And again, it's something, you know, it might not be something in your life right now. It doesn't mean that your perspective can't shift to being able to see that in others, understand the complexities of it, right? I mean, because it is complex. It's not, you know, as a person that was doing that, you know, I even catch myself sometimes looking at other people, like, all you got to do, and you ignore, like, holy fuck, like, you were trying to check out twice, right? You know, whoa, empathy, care, listen, right?
The last time I ever saw my brother, I had filed a restraining order against him because I didn't want him back to the house. It was terrifying. Like, it was literally terrifying.
Well, he's a different person now.
It was my brother. Like, and he was so cool, guys. Like, just fun and great personality. I mean, he was just like me.
His laugh was like
personality for days. Like, we just laughed and laughed. So for his life to be stolen from him by this drug is just, it's a travesty. So I had filed a restraining order against him. Again, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. We go to court, and he's literally standing outside court, and I see him, and I crumble like a baby, because as soon as I saw him, it's my little brother, and it didn't matter that I was almost 30 and he was 27, and we just hugged each other, and I held him, and we cried, and I held him, and I'm like, I know it's the last time I'm going to see you. And he's like, don't say that. Like, I'm going to be better. Like, I'm going to get it together. Like, it's okay, Gina. It's okay. It's okay. Like, I promise. Like, drop these charges. And let's not do this. Let's just fucking figure it out as a family. And I bought it all. Like, I bought it all because I wanted to believe it. I just hugged him and held him and told him I loved him, and I never saw him again. Like, I never saw him again, guys. Like, the next time I saw him was in a casket, and he was found alone with a needle in his arm in a nasty fucking hotel in the west side of Chicago. And like, that's how my brother's story ended, you know. So Lois going through these depths of hell and rising through that, and she's the strongest fucking person I know. Like, I don't know anyone that did that. I don't know anyone. Everyone that I know that was involved with drugs and alcohol addiction is gone. They're gone. And if they're still here, they have organs that are deteriorating, and they're gone. They're already gone, even if they're still here. You know, like, I hope you understand, like, how blessed I feel that you're still here, and how much my life and my husband and my son and your baby, like, none of this would be here, guys. None of it would be here.
Girl, that I get a lot of the reason I talk about this stuff, you know, what do you say to that? Like, selfish, right? Selfish.
You gotta value life, guys. You gotta value life.
Yeah, like the ignorance.
It could be gone at any given second.
The ignorance, man, like from right out of high school, I could lay out a million reasons why I was like, hey, you know, like, life, look, you know, and what that actually delivered me was no grounding in reality of responsibility, like what that formula did. Like, you know, we talked briefly about, like, you know, going to Catholic school, real small world, big world out there, right? Your personality fueling these relationships and these stupid fucking things. I mean, it went from, you know, it just escalated so fast, man.
You know what I think the biggest mind fuck for me with you?
Yeah.
Lois and I lived together.
Yeah.
In between these times. Like, we lived together 2001, 2, 3, like right in that area. We lived together. We shared a home and right outside of Chicago. We had the time of our lives. Like, it was amazing. And, you know, like, my job changed, her job changed. We ended up moving to different towns, and like everything good was gone. And she was like, I didn't even know that. I didn't know until it was too late. I don't know, guys. Like, holy shit.
Oh man.
Holy.
I do want to just. I want to say one thing. Just one thing.
You got a minute?
Yeah, we got a minute. You know, water.
I wish this was boring.
I wanted to wrap up with the end of that situation about being you know, and locked up in jail. I'm not, again, suggesting, like, I don't got fucking answers, man. Like, please talk to somebody that cares about you or has no special interest in your situation except to help you be better, help you feel better, help you get your mind out of your fucking ass.
Like, you said, those skills, build that skill set. You're born with that. Everyone has that.
Knowing,
okay, but you can get it.
And it's probably back to why we're not talking about getting that program to help you work better from home, or when we're not, because that thoughts of those conversations brought me back to parts of my life where I didn't learn the right types of coping skills. You know what I mean? And I let, this sounds so biblical, but like sins of the flesh, like, be my guide, right? I mean, it's without a targeted end. You know, when you're up for anything, anything's going to happen to you, right? I ended up in Cook County, and this would be the last thing. I never went to prison. The police chase I was telling you about ended with me going to court and the witnesses not showing up, right? So I skewed it. They were giving me 2 years penitentiary on that one.
Thank you.
Right? And the only gift that not the only gift, but one of the gifts that person, that was in 2004. Well, Andy passed away in July.
Right, exactly.
It was about 30 days. Yeah, it was Andy died when I was in jail in July. Right. I was somewhere around there, because it had only passed about a month before I got out, you know, and that's when I learned
I'm just wondering if you
Yeah.
passed and then went right to you, like, you better get your fucking shit together. Okay.
I mean, 100%, because it definitely was.
That's the time.
This was definitely after, because then I got put on house arrest, right?
Mhm.
At some point in that. So anyway, the person that I was, going through this trial with was actually ahead of me in line in court, and he comes screaming through the hallway. He's like, "Don't fucking take the plea bargain!" Like, because they're trying to have me plea out of this because the witnesses didn't show up, and he found that out first, and then warned me of that, and I was able to say, "No, I'm not going to take the plea bargain." And I walked right up to that fucking stand, and they said, "You plead guilty or not guilty?" I said, "Not guilty." Where are the witnesses? Nobody, go home. I mean, that's what fucking happened, right? I mean, it was kind of a weird situation that I could have gone to the prison just for not having that.
Probably the largest gift outside of her child of her lifetime.
No, I mean,
It was the gift of life.
this would not be happening right now had I ended up incarcerated, 100%. So that was.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
They gave her a chance. She gave herself her life. She did that.
Thank you. Thank you, very Italian. But I ended up. What ended up happening at that is they put me on house arrest. When I got on house arrest, it was like a monitoring thing for, the court. And I had to be on that for a couple of weeks. When they went to release me from that, my parents had come to stay at my cousin's house. I was at my cousin's house in Cook County, and this is where they tell me that Andy had passed away. The month before. Nobody told me while I was locked up for probably obvious reasons. And we talked a little bit about this, like just we grew up together. My parents and his parents, grew up together. And they both have children with heroin addictions, and one is being buried and one is not. I don't even know how to tell you how that reaction went, because the reaction was sadness that Andy was gone. The reaction was more they're my parents' friends. You don't even have an opinion at this point, because now you really see everything's coming to fruition.
Yeah.
It's been answered for you. Not the what if, the what is, right?
Yeah.
And because it's so fucking close to home, right? That happened. And I don't even know. There's a lot that goes with that. Not being around for Gina, being in the same situation. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even, I don't even know how you did that. Like, did you not even want to, know me at that point? I would assume there's something that's a big
wall,
gamble. Oh, no,
I put up a wall. I love you, but you're going to stay right there because there's no fucking way you're going to hurt me like that again. There's no fucking way I can go through that again. And my dad's gone, my brother's gone, and my best friend better get her fucking head out of her ass because I need you forever. And the struggle between loving you, but not knowing what to do.
You've been lied to with this before. You've seen this not work out to the way that it's supposed, that it could work out here.
Right.
And alternatively, so that's Gina. That's my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, and that's me proving myself for 20 fucking years. Right. You have to understand, people that have these things that come out, regardless if they do it through therapy. I mean, I'm a cold turkey quitter, right? I only had to do some shit through rehab when it was court mandated. It was 16 hours of community service here and a couple meetings, and when I had that experience, I said, oh, I will never come to a meeting again, just because why the fuck would I come and sit down with a whole bunch of people that aren't, they're just there any day from picking up again, and I don't want to be around that, because that's what's drawing me back every single time with this fucking guy.
No, that anytime Andy got out of prison, they put him in a halfway house, and it was literally a drug house. It was literally your key to whatever you needed to get back out in the street. And I don't know what the hell.
So much of this, 99% of this is you, man. You'd be able to do it. The 1% makes a fucking difference, though, when you're that, vulnerable with these types of things. And again, we're not talking about going out for beer and missing it, and then even alcoholics have that same problem. So again, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, let's not count out alcoholics. No. I lost both my dad's brothers to alcoholism before I was 5. This shit's as real as it gets. Drugs are no joke.
I left Cook County, the house arresting. They came to take me off a house arrest, and because I was in Cook County for so long, I had failed to appear at court in DuPage County. Okay. So now that's 60 days sober, right? God, Andy, whoever,
Everyone.
right? They took the bracelet off. They go, "We have a warrants from DuPage County." And I'm like, "Oh, great." They took me from there right to DuPage County, where then I sat out the remainder of my probation. So this gives me the complete time of not getting in touch with people, places, and things. It gives me the time to get my head cleared.
So how long was that altogether?
The Cook County thing, it was about 120 days overall, maybe a little bit shy of that, like, from the transfer part and then the back and forth. And that after that was the time that some really hard decisions made, right? I got my own apartment. Remember, I was in Mumbai, right? I started working my job. I did all those things. I built a career. I never looked back, and I think that kind of brings us full circle to what the hell happened and when we're talking about, and, the reflection of holding things inside for 20 years, not telling your best friend, your family. Like, my mother's gonna watch this for the first time and learn about that NyQuil trip,
My mom's gonna hear me say that my brother could be alive.
Yeah.
So you think you got it tough?
Yeah, I mean, it's all right, but what are we throwing ourselves out there for like this, right? Somebody hearing you, right?
100%. This is something I don't think I never thought I was capable of doing, being this vulnerable.
Oh no.
Because my whole facade, and I'll use the word facade, being tough and strong and independent, and it's what I've always been. I was single, so I was 37 because I can do that, and I don't need anybody. I'll do this shit myself, and until this perfect human being appears, like, I got this, but to know now that was just Berlin Wall around my entire body because I'm terrified of feeling any pain anymore. Like, I don't want pain. I don't want suffering. I don't want to, I want to just love.
Yeah.
I want to love and be loved. And that's scary to say. Like, that's vulnerable. And
yeah.
Oh,
it's also like you've always had these capabilities, right? The hardest part about love all the time is not giving it. It's, are people receiving it the way you want them to? Is it fulfilling you in that? And it's really hard to do that with an addict, because they, they need something and they don't have anything to give back to except words and empty promises. And that's just not just addicts, it's people in general a lot of the time, so you had spent all your resources with all this care, love, concern, and reciprocation to any way that you needed to be loved, respected, looked at, never happened, right? And that's, that's the two-way street of it, I am so grateful. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I mean, that's, I'm grateful that everything that I've, I'm successful in most things I do. And these are the two things that I'm very successful. I'm like the biggest fucking failure at, right? And that is, being so low and selfish to not think about the other circumstances that come when you want to off yourself, right? Because again, I understand the out there. I'm a person that cares about the people that are going to be left behind. That's the only thing that's left, right? Eliana wouldn't be here, everything working out as it's supposed to.
I'd go as far as to say Jack shouldn't be here. My path would have been completely different.
Right.
Completely different. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So
yeah, I see it. That's the butterfly, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I still firmly believe through all the depths of hell,
Oh yeah.
and that is the only words we can use for what the fuck we've been through in our life, is the light that comes out when you get out of that, and that feeling, and there's no going back. Once you feel it and it's real, it's all you want forever. You want love and light and happiness and positivity. And you've seen the other shit. You know what they'll do. You know the cesspool that brings.
No, you just don't.
And you got to get to a point where it's enough. You're choosing happiness. You're choosing a positive life, whatever that means. Everyone's different. That's different for you and I. It's different for everybody. Choose it and follow it, and don't let anything stop, nothing stop you from doing what you know in your heart you're supposed to do. I don't care what that is, guys. I don't care what that is.
It means something to you and somebody else. Trust us, man. Yeah, for sure.
Huge thank you for being here with us, for being here for us, for listening to this. I hope we've touched somebody's life. I know we're not the only ones. There's no way we're the only ones dealing with love and loss and addiction and drugs and what that brings to a life, whether you're young or old.
We're not. Yeah. And I think for me personally, this is something that I've been so very proud of myself for, that I kind of robbed myself the dignity part of it, of rising out from that. Because it is a huge part. It's a 6-year span of my life, and it has the most impactful, is who I am today. Hold some of the most impactful decisions I've made, and really sets my sights on where I don't want to be, the things that I will do in my life that would bring me there, in an active way of avoiding those types of things. So yes, sitting around thinking about what this coronavirus has done has brought this to the plate.
It helps to put this kind of stuff in perspective. You know what I mean? And people that are stuck at home and locked down and can't just go out and breathe some fresh air, like they need you. Talk to, get on Zooms, get on the phone, get a FaceTime, whatever you've got, make the effort. Because when it's too late, guys, it's too late. I can't call my brother ever again. Okay, don't let that happen to you. Please, because it's not too late until it's too late.
Well, thank you for coming in, and I don't even know how to end that.
Honestly,
because
that was a lot. That's as raw as you'll ever see us.
We're gonna put up some numbers. Listen, at the end, I've got some information attached in our descriptions and stuff, some resources. We have a lot of international love, and also
addiction and suicide.
We put a little bit of both, and we did not just include the U.S., put a lot of international from A to Z. And there, we don't never know where this goes to, right?
Be there for each other. Be there for each other now more than ever. You no bullshit excuses. Just do it. Just do it. Thank you all again. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to my best friend on the planet for being so raw, because there was nothing easy about what we just did, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching the Hempy Hour, and we will see you next week. One love.